So let's check out what they got going on here at the Eaton booth. I know they got smart home technology, they got some car technology over there, and some other things that you might be interested in. Here with Greg from Eaton, and he's going to explain the smart panel. This is a smart panel, right?
Yes, kind of one of the cool things about this product. So this is a new product line for Eaton. This is our AbleEdge product line. And this is about home energy management. So this is a panel that has smarts to it, but this is actually individual smart breakers. And this is an existing Eaton panel. So we're showcasing that these devices retrofit into our existing product line. And we're not having to sell you a whole new smart panel. We'll sell you individual breakers, and we'll sell you a panel later when you actually need one. So that's one of our devices we're highlighting. The other one is up here. This is our MID, or microgrid interconnect device. And that device is what's going to physically island us, our home, when we go into an off-grid scenario. So what that does is make sure that if you're on battery power and the grid is restored, that you don't have two energy sources coming into your house at the same time. So again, this is a retrofit. And we're not having to wire out this device, put it in a new box or anything like that. It's fitting directly into the panel. Our electricians that we work with and use our products are gonna love that. So, main use case of this device is if you have a distributed energy resource. So if that's a battery, like we're highlighting here, our partnership with Tesla, or if that's a generator, or if you have an electric vehicle that is able to power the home. So if you're a homeowner that has one of these distributed energy resources, or a DER in our industry, you might want one of our smart breakers. And the main use case for that is when you go into an off-grid scenario, a storm rolls in and you're now disconnected from the grid and you're on battery power. Everyone is discussing where they say they want whole home backup, except you want your battery, if say it reaches 50, 25%, you probably just want the fridge and the lights on at that point so you can ride out this grid outage as long as possible. So these devices, they have a smart relay built into each of them. So we can toggle that relay on and off, and you as the homeowner would configure that to say at what battery percentage do you want to shut loads. So right at grid outage, maybe we're going to turn off the pool pump or a spa, and that way we're not going to deplete our battery, powering those devices.
So we can still do this from the appliance itself and from the breaker itself too.
So the appliance itself, if say you had a smart device, with those integrations are things that you need like your own home automation apps for,
okay.
And that's specifically where we're bridging that gap.
Okay.
So like Tesla, an integration that we're doing, they'll be directly controlling from their app. We have an open API that is going to be controlling the breakers within the Tesla app. So Tesla users are going to have a seamless experience to control it. Perhaps Tesla will integrate with, say, your smart fridge or other smart devices. But if you don't have that integration, this is how you're going to shed and prioritize loads in an off-grid scenario. If we can come around here, I'll show you the little presentation here. So if we push the button, this example here, our homeowner, they're on grid, all of their loads are active, appliances are running, but a storm rolls in and we go into backup mode. What we've done is used our automatic load shedding. We've gone ahead and turned off the load to our EV charger. We went ahead and dropped our hot water heater. We got 50 gallons in the tank, so let's ride out the storm with the hot water we already have. And let's go ahead and immediately disconnect the pool pump. So now right from grid outage, we know we're going to get the most use out of that backup battery because we're not going to accidentally charge our car and waste the battery on that. The big thing with this too would be if say you're about to drive somewhere, you can go into our app or the Tesla app and turn that load back on. So you don't like that the car charger isn't going anymore, we'll send you a notification and go ahead and override that and turn it back on. So this is about the user and what they want to do with it. The additional feature that exists in our app and will be in other integration apps is scheduling. So if you have a utility that does peak pricing, this will enable you to set up and shed loads so that you're not paying those additional energy costs for how you set it up. Again, if you have that set up on the hot water heater and you need hot water, go ahead and turn it back on. We're not trying to lock you into anything you set. This is just configurations, so you're getting the maximum use out of our device and these backup energy sources. The other big thing that, kudos to our engineers that have done incredible work. They put all of this into a standard breaker format. So each of these devices have their smart functionality in the device itself. That means our system is modular. You can put as many of these breakers as you want in the panel, and you don't have to put additional ones in that you don't need. We're not trying to sell you a full panel if that's not what you want. If you just want to look at energy consumption, metering data for specific loads, then you just have to buy this from us as individual devices. So get started with one, or buy as many as you want or need.
So will this work in existing panels right now?
Yes, so that's even showcased here. Right now, this will be available to go into our existing Eaton line, where this is a very standard and ubiquitous form factor, so that will plug and play. If I handed this to an electrician, they would know exactly what this is, and it would be a very easy swap for them.
So is this on the BR platform, or is this on CH? Or you have it for both?
Right now, it's just this form factor here. This is still a thermomechanical breaker. That's the same technology that's been in breakers for forever, more or less, for a breaker. That's still happening. And then the smarts of this is just a relay downstream of that electrically. So we're not changing the safety mechanism or the technology behind that. We're just adding this smart functionality within it so that we have that control. We can do partnerships and comfortably let them turn it on and off as much as they want. It's a whole new contact point within the device. So the safety aspect of it is working just as we've engineered our other breakers. There's a commissioning process. Okay. So you use Bluetooth to commission the device.
Will you have to be licensed to do that?
Well, yeah, we'll have an installer app. It is an electrician is supposed to be the one that's installing this in the panel. But again, if I handed this to an electrician, they'd say, oh, there's a breaker. They put it in. Our app is going to step by step. It's just a quick key exchange, and then the device is commissioned and ready to go.
All right. Yeah. So you got this in how many amps does it go? What's the largest?
Yep. This is it'll be 15 to 60 amps. And again, this is a 2-pole breaker, so that's powering your 240 volt appliances, which is great because those are going to be the ones you want to shed. If you're paying 5 figures for a backup battery, are you going to turn the lights off? That's why you got it. We're going to drop things like your dryer, your hot water heater. We'll get you down to just those, lights, refrigerator. You're watching TV. If you don't want that load on, turn it off, or there are smart wall outlets that can empower that. This is that middle level bridge between the battery and the home that can really dynamically give you, additional capacity in an outage.
So this is basically your 2-pole breaker. Yeah, that's the main focus.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to market with. We announced we're doing big vehicle to home initiatives, so we're actively talking with OEMs and making sure that vehicle to home gets solved, because that's a big thing. You look at all these EVs that are being sold, you've got a giant battery sitting in your garage, and an outage happens. Why aren't your lights on?
Yeah, so will this make it two-way?
So this device itself is not the solution to vehicle to home, but our AbleEdge product line we announced here at CES, that's a big thing that we're actively engaged with OEMs. It will be AbleEdge products and technology that we're going to be a leader in solving vehicle to home. because it does not make sense for a homeowner to not have power when they have a gigantic battery parked in their garage.
And I think what he means by this is bi-directional charging, right?
Yeah.
So you can take your car, charge your house, then you can take your house and charge your car. So right now there's no real good solution for that, and Eaton's working on it.
Yeah, we have a Eaton smart charger breaker.
Hey, good morning. So here talking about our AbleEdge as it relates to vehicle to home. And so with our vehicle to home solution, we're actually talking about AbleEdge and being able to enable that as it actually becomes more into the marketplace. And so as you've probably already seen, we have our AbleEdge smart breakers as well as our microgrid interconnect device. One of the other innovations that we've produced is our EV smart breaker charger, which is this device here. And so this circuit breaker actually is a level 2 AC charger. And so with that, it can be installed directly into the homeowner's load center to be able to power the electric vehicle. Now, when we actually think about a vehicle to home type of solution, one of the things with it is, can the electric vehicle actually support all the loads in the house? And so when you're actually powering back into the home, that's where the AbleEdge smart breakers come into play. The microgrid interconnect device is what's going to actually disconnect you from the utility power and then be able to tell the electric vehicle, hey, it's okay now to send power back into the home. Now, whether that's going to be an AC export, as what we would have here, or a DC export, we can support either one. And that's all going to be through the AbleEdge platform. So that could be either done through our app, or because we have an open API platform, it could be done through the OEM's platform.
So is this, because I was talking about bi-directional charging.
Correct.
So is this the solution for that? Is this what going to be worked on this?
So this could be one potential solution for that.
Okay.
So obviously, we'd have to update the communication protocols and things to be able to enable all of that. But we also have one, and that's going to be through our documentation. I'm not sure if you saw our press release, but there's some links in there with some of the proof of concepts that we've been doing with some of the utility companies to actually showcase this particular style of AC charger being able to be a bi-directional charger.
And you said something about DC. You could use direct DC too?
So the breaker itself will not do direct DC, but with the rest of the platform, it can enable that. So when you're thinking about DC export, it's going to probably go into some level of a wall-mounted inverter, and then that inverter is actually going to provide your AC power back into the panel.
Okay, yeah. Are you all working on inverters or anything of that sort, or is it just management in this style?
So currently it's just management in this style.
Okay.
A lot of it's going to really depend on the auto OEMs and kind of what platform they're deciding to use for that. So
this goes hand in hand with the chargers over here? The car
it can, yes.
chargers?
Yes.
All right, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much
sir.
for stopping by.
Hi everyone, I'm John McDonald. I'm a Global Pursuits Director here at Eaton eMobility Division. I've been with Eaton for a few years, just a couple. Right here we have our display for all of our eMobility products, which range from all of our Eaton Power Connections division, which you can see here are all the different bus bars. We have our Rigiflex bus bar, which is able to be formed at a lower profile. All of our different connectors, our high power lock box, our battery vent valve, which is important for venting the battery and the system itself. Behind that, we have our auxiliary power distribution unit, which is essentially like a larger fuse box, which we can house different rated fuses for the different systems within an electrified vehicle, with the connectors on the outside of it formed into either an aluminum or a polymer composite housing. Behind that, we have kind of what our bread and butter of our eMobility business division, which is our battery disconnect unit, which essentially does exactly what the name does. It disconnects the battery in the event of a safety event or a thermal event. So we have our higher rated fuses in there. We have our Eaton patented breaker, which does the functions of a contactor and a relay essentially, and it's resettable. We are vertically integrated. We form the bus bars ourselves in there. The Busman high voltage fuses that are included in there. A couple things we purchased, but for the most part we're vertically integrated. Behind that we have our newest technology, which is our battery configuration switch, which is a rotary switch that is able to operate between 400 or 800 volts. It can switch between two different positions. So what this does, why it's beneficial, is for an 800 volt architecture vehicle, it can switch down to a 400 volt system so that you can DC fast charge at a lower rated DC fast charge. Pretty important here in the United States where we don't really have the 800 volt charging network. Behind that we have our traction inverter, which is currently in production in Europe. And we have our EV gearing, which ties the whole system together. And we have been in production with the battery disconnect unit and also the power distribution unit for the BDU. We've been in production for about 6 months, and the power distribution unit we've been in production for just over a year. So we have all these solutions in the eMobility division, and we're expanding month to month and year to year.
I'm Sai Murahari, and I'm a product manager for EV chargers. Again, Eaton is here at CES 2025 with an amazing booth and a lot of our capabilities on display here. I'm specifically here to talk about our AC Level 2 charger offering that we have on display. So what we have here is our commercial AC chargers, which we call the Green Motion Fleet Pro. This is an 80 amp charger, primarily targeted for last mile delivery vehicles. And we also have a Green Motion Building Pro, which is a 48 amp charger for more of like passenger vehicles. We have our commercial chargers, which are more like traditional EV chargers that are on display that you see here. So Eaton has a complete offering of these traditional EV chargers along with our EV software that we offer to our customers today. And these customers can be from our multifamily segments, workplace, and last mile delivery and fleets. Along with these traditional EV chargers, what we also have on display is our EV Smart Breaker chargers. Basically what we did is we combined the EV charging capabilities along with circuit protection and put them in a circuit breaker form factor. So the fact that we have an EV charger in a circuit breaker gives us the ability to put these EV breakers in either load centers, panel boards, and switch boards. So the opportunity to scale is fairly high when we're able to do this EV charging in a circuit breaker. So if you're a multifamily and you need EV charging, you can have a panel board like this populated with EV chargers and have this tucked away. So from a vandalism standpoint, it is a very unique solution. Also, a solution like this can be very cost effective as compared to traditional EV chargers. So check out our Eaton booth today. All of these products are on display and all of our subject matter experts are here. So come by and talk to us. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Anthony Abraham. I'm the product manager for our energy storage with Eaton. Here we have our latest X-Storage product offering. The energy storage today is becoming more and more important as part of the overall increase in demand and power, and finding ways to improve that while also finding ways to reduce the cost in energy that currently exists due to penalties, etc., because of the variations of loads that are now getting onto the grid. Here, as part of the energy storage, X-Storage product, you've got three main components. You've got the control cabinet. That really is where all the main decision making occurs for energy storage. We'll talk about some of the applications. This is where all of that resides. The next piece of it is the bidirectional inverter. This is the piece that actually converts AC to DC and DC back to AC for the load. It is liquid cooled. Therefore, you don't need additional cooling for it. It's got a reservoir at the bottom for the liquid cooling. It's self-contained, and it's allowed to go onto a concrete pad as you see it completed. The last piece of it, there's no energy storage without actual batteries, so you need battery cabinets. These battery cabinets are also energy storage with about 340 usable kilowatt hour per cabinet. In this situation, you've got about 1 megawatt worth of runtime. And when you open it up, you'll see these liquid cooled batteries that are in there as well. And this is critical in such applications, especially outdoors, because it provides you a very power density while also minimizing the maintenance you need for that, because you're using a very closed loop system on that. Now, the most important piece of energy storage really is, why do you need it? And that's really around the application and energy services. There's two reasons that you would need an energy storage. One could be to increase your resiliency of your electrical infrastructure, or the second one could be finding ways to reduce your energy consumption cost, such as peak shaving, which is very common as more and more electric vehicles come online. The demand on the electrical grid increases as more vehicles are loading up. You can either reduce the power you give to each car or compensate the additional power needed with the battery, so that any additional demand that you get, the energy stored battery provides the additional capacity, and therefore each car still loads as quickly as possible. Another aspect of it is when it comes to backup. When you talk about generators today are becoming either regulation or cost or even availability are becoming harder to deploy, you can actually deploy it in conjunction with energy storage. In this situation, let's say a school needs a 4-hour backup time, it can be split into 2 hours of generator and 2 hours in the battery. So when there is a power outage, when there is any kind of disruption, should this power outage last less than 2 hours, the battery has enough capacity in this installation to back up the facility, whereas when the power comes back, it recharges it. Solar is another big aspect of the application. More and more solar are deployed, so they need that excess energy on days that are very sunny and you've got a lot of power excess that you're not using. What you want to do is store it in the battery. So when the sun disappears the next day or you have a cloudy day, you can deploy the power that you stored in the battery into the facility. So in essence, energy storage really is the future to help reduce the additional capacity that is being demanded. So instead of building more and more facilities or power plants, you're able to compensate and quickly deploy additional power through battery energy storage in buildings, in hospitals, in schools, etc., to be able to provide, again, those two main functions, which are additional resiliency to the electrical infrastructure, or providing ways to reduce the penalties, etc., that could come in their energy consumption costs.